This video is brought to you by the Wonderful 101, exclusively on Wii U.
Hey everyone, I'm Fran, this is Sam.
Hey.
Today, one of the most influential men in video game history died.
The most influential man?
Perhaps. Hiroshi Yamauchi, the past president of Nintendo, died at 85, reigned the company for 52 years before leaving in 2002.
Yeah, and in those 52 years, he turned Nintendo from a modest card-making company into a giant video game company that everybody knows on the planet.
Yeah.
Almost.
Yeah, and we're talking about it today because it's like, why should you remember this guy's name? I think a lot of people out there don't hear the word Yamauchi and think of this guy.
Right, I don't think even people know the current president's story, Iwata.
Exactly.
So, Yamauchi, in his early tenure at Nintendo, was a toy manufacturer and a card manufacturer. He moved into toys, and from there moved into electronic games in the 1970s. And just like everybody else, made a kind of a Pong clone for Nintendo and stuff like that, but then went on to make Donkey Kong machines, and then the NES. He presided over that. The Super
Game
NES,
and Watch,
the Game
turned
Boy.
into Game Boy, Zelda. He helped find Miyamoto and the creators of these things.
Right, he hired everybody involved in every game you've ever played on Nintendo.
Yeah.
I mean, he had such a careful focus on every little part of Nintendo. Like he ruled it kind of with an iron fist, but he also was intimately involved in making things just awesome.
Yeah,
he was not just an owner.
Exactly, yeah, and he's truly like a legend. I used to report on IGN 64 and IGN Cube back in the day that he was president, and the quotes that he would fire out were he was bold and audacious and like a true legend. And I kind of miss that about some of the leaders today. They're a lot more washed from PR. They kind of have to be. But before we go too far, this is a great quote to keep in mind. This is the kind of guy that will say this stuff. So right before the Wii came out, around 2004, he's saying, customers are not interested in grand games with higher quality graphics and sound and epic stories. Cutting edge technologies and multiple functions do not necessarily lead to more fun. The excessively hardware-oriented way of thinking is totally wrong. He just came out and said it's totally wrong. So all these next-gen systems and everything, and you can see the Nintendo today is still thinking that way. They're running the company that this guy started.
Sure, well, he got behind artists instead of engineers and technicians.
Yeah.
Like Shigeru Miyamoto couldn't program his own game, but he was given the freedom to make a game about a stubborn monkey. It's stuff like that he made decisions on that were just completely different from everybody else out there.
Yeah, and he's a fascinating figure. So we kind of, just to get through the history, he was on the N64, going out right around GameCube, and then he had, I think it was a dream about the DS. Is that true?
He came to R&D 1, a division he started, and said, hey, we want to make how about making a system with 2 screens? And then they just left it with that, and sure enough, the DS came out, and he knew a lot was riding on the DS.
Yeah, which is, one of the best-selling game systems ever, if not the. I'd have to look at the recent figures. That's what the legacy left behind, But yeah, some of these fast facts are really interesting. So Sam, why don't you go through them?
Sure. One is that early on, he ran and operated a Love Hotel under the Nintendo name, which is a place where you can go and get some action for an hour and pay somebody some money to do that. That was an early
Love
Nintendo
hotels are very
business.
common in Japan, so he just helped.
I thought that was pretty cool. He bought and he owned the Mariners.
To this day,
that's right. Yeah, he actually never saw them play a game.
Yeah.
But Nintendo owns the Mariners too, and if you go to a Mariners game in Seattle, there's a lot of Nintendo stuff there. He brought Pong to Japan, which is amazing.
Yep.
He licensed it from Atari and distributed it in Japan under the Nintendo name.
That's what I love.
Yeah, he started a series of light gun bowling alleys, which use Zapper-like technology. Remember the NES?
Everyone thinks of Duck Hunt and the Zapper, yeah.
Yeah, this is before there's any video games at all. Just a bowling alley full of light gun targets. And then he started Nintendo's first licensing deal ever, which was in the 50s. It was a Hanafuda card set that had Disney characters on it.
Nintendo started with playing cards too, yeah.
Sure, and one other cool thing he did was oversee the release of every single NES game. Not a single NES game went past his desk without him seeing it and approving it.
Yeah, he was so... Yeah, he just had to be there for everything. And it created a situation for the third parties where they had to own up to anything that Yamauchi wanted.
Yep.
So, yeah, so
those are some cool statements about him.
Incredible history. There's a ton of information on IGN, obviously. You can, look up a lot of information on Yamauchi, and we'll have more coverage of his legacy and all the fascinating facts as time goes on. So be sure to keep it locked to IGN.